Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel, Latina Plants. My name is Jackie. So I wanted to share this video with you guys. I went to Home Depot on one of my shop with me trips and I found this Anthurium. I picked it up for Rachel here on YouTube, lots of pots, and I realized that there are two DocBlock Michelles here for the price of one, so I snagged it up. I decided to repot it and send one to Rachel. She did give me the money for the plant, and I also let her know that because there were two plants in the pot, that I would like to repot it, and she said that she was okay with that. And yeah, so here I'm sharing the repot with you guys. And hopefully, Rachel, you are watching just so you can see how beautiful this plant is. Initially, um, they were super root bound, you guys. They definitely needed to be separated. One plant was larger than the other, and it took me a while to remove all of this substrate because, again, she was super root bound. And so I'm trying to be as careful as possible and using my skewer to loosen up some of the soil that it has. Also putting on my gloves, you guys, because as you saw, my nails are super long and I didn't want to get any of this dirt underneath my nails. So I thought I would take the precaution of using some gloves. When you're using the skewer, please be very gentle not to poke at the roots. I do a little bit of squeezing here and there just to loosen it up. You guys, this plant was super root bound. I also checked the nursery pot and the pot that it was in to see if I saw any kind of pests that were visible, and there were none that I could see. I did also speed this up, you guys, because it took me a very long time to get rid of all of this substrate. And also in the center was a plug. It was a soil plug, not so much like a netting or a cage or anything like that, but it was a soil plug. In this repot, I barely lost any roots here. Maybe some minor roots that broke off, but nothing big. Both of these plants were left with beautiful, healthy roots. But it did take me some time to get rid of the substrate and separate them. And so I wanted to show you guys here. This is towards the end where I can separate them. I'm doing this gently, just teasing the roots apart and being as gentle as possible so that we don't lose any of those good chunky roots. And yeah, both of these plants really needed to be in their own substrate, in their own pots, because one was taking over the pot versus the other, and so they were sharing nutrients, and one was being stunted, which is the smaller one here that I'm going to keep. She still does have really good chunky roots and a good amount of leaves, but the one that I'm sending Rachel here is extremely rooted, you guys, has a ton of beautiful leaves, and if I'm not mistaken, she also had an inflow. Here I'm trying to gauge how I can repot her into this pot. I also decided not to put her into this pot just because, you guys, look at all those roots. Anthurium roots really like to have some room to spread, and she was already so root bound in that pot that I just don't even know how these roots were in there with the substrate at all to begin with, you guys. But here I'm inspecting the plant to make sure that all the roots are good. I didn't have to do any root trimming, I believe, on either one of these. All of the roots are super healthy. There was no signs of distress or rot or anything like that on this plant. It was very, very happy, both the plants in the pot. And yeah, here I'm just inspecting the plant before I go ahead and take them to my sink and give them a good rinse. And then we will be back to pot them up. Here I am making sure that the center roots here are okay. Nothing is mushy or rotted. I was super happy with the size and the amount of roots that that one had. And after doing some cleaning up, I am back to show you the plants. I also rinsed them out. I put Rachel's plant in this vase here with some water. Look at all of those beautiful roots, you guys. I thought I would soak it a little bit here in water, and I did add some Super Thrive into that water just to help with any transplant shock. This plant I picked up on a Friday and repotted it that very same day. And that's why I'm using Super Thrive to help with any kind of transplant shock. This is the chunky aeroid mix that I'm going to be using for this anthurium to repot them. I do have this clear orchid pot that I got. It was like a curb pickup that my mom found for me, and yeah, she dropped them off and I cleaned them up. And I thought this one would be perfect for this plant here. I will be listing this anthurium on my PalmStreet, you guys, if you want to check it out, if you're interested in this plant. I am also using some myco to help with some added fungi, beneficial fungi for this plant. So far, she's doing very well in my chunky aeroid mix, which is a soilless mix, you guys, that I use on most of my plants. I did add coconut chips. There was no charcoal. Well, I didn't have any charcoal on hand, but chunky perlite, and that's what my mix consists of. I do also use worm casting. And so making sure there are no air gaps, you guys. I don't know how I feel about the orchid pots, but so far this plant is doing well in it. I can monitor the roots and the moisture level of the plant in this pot, and I think it works well. She is a little wobbly in a pot, and so I'm going to end up using a wooden, well, it's a bamboo skewer or bamboo stick, sorry, and an orchid clip to prop her up a little bit. This is what she turned out to look like. She is a beautiful plant, you guys. If you're interested again in the DocBlock Michelle from Home Depot, I will be listing her soon. I just wanted to give her some time to acclimate before I listed her. And I didn't want to list her before the holidays because it was so close to the holidays that I didn't want her to get stuck in shipping or anything like that. But she will be available soon for you guys if you're interested. And now we're going to pot up Rachel's. I decided to go with this deli cup that I put a lot of holes into to make sure that it has plenty of breathable, airy holes on it. And I'm using my chunky aeroid mix again, as I said, with the other plant. This plant was super rooted, so this was the largest vessel that I had on hand to be able to pot her up. And as you can see, her roots are nice, firm, juicy, healthy roots. If I had another larger pot to pot her in, I definitely would have potted her in something larger. But this is all I had on hand. I hope that Rachel can repot her into a larger pot when she receives her. We have stayed in contact since this, and from what she has said, the plant did go into a little bit of a shock from, being purchased on a Friday repotted that same day, then shipped out on a Monday. It did go through a little bit of a shock, but she said that it has recovered and it's doing well now. And I'm so very happy about that because I know that this plant is super expensive. In my opinion, it's super expensive, and I didn't want her to lose the plant. I know that she was very excited about this plant, and I wanted her to be able to have it in her collection because we didn't know if she would ever get it in her area at her Home Depot. I was very happy that I was able to find one that we could both benefit from. I could put one up on the shop for you guys, and she could get her plant. And yeah, I think I did a good choice selection here, not only because there was two plants in the pots, but both plants were very, very healthy, you guys, and very well rooted and mature. Definitely worth the money. And here I'm just making sure that all of the roots are covered in the substrate so that it doesn't go through too much shock while shipping. I know that the soil can kind of insulate the roots, so I wanted to make sure that all of the roots were covered so that it can be all the roots can be nicely insulated throughout shipping. I'm making sure that I'm tapping to get the substrate into any of the gaps that might be in between the roots. I was going to use this stick that it came with the label as a skewer to help keep the plant more sturdy, but it doesn't end up working because it's just too flimsy. I do end up before I send it to her, adding another stick to it, as well as I do give her the label of the plant and the ceramic and nursery pot, and I did give them a good clean, and I packaged everything together. I hope that she is happy with her anthurium and that it's doing well, and I was kind of hoping that the inflow would continue to grow, but I think that she said that she may have aborted the inflow or something like that from the shock. I'm not sure, but maybe she will share it on her channel soon. I thought I would share some close ups as well so you can see what the leaves are looking like. They are not perfect, you guys, at all, but they look really good and healthy. And I think that this plant is beautiful and definitely worth having in your collection. And I wanted to give you guys a close up. This one here is the one for Rachel. I'm not really sure what those like marks on there are, if it's cold damage or rust or anything like that. If you guys know about anthuriums, please leave it down below in the comments what you think that is. And as you can see, here is the inflow, and it looks like she would have a leaf coming soon as well. And this one here has the same kind of markings. Again, I don't know if that's cold damage or some kind of rust, but I did clean the leaves off with some alcohol and water, gave them a good wipe down. I will have to wipe them down again as I do it every week since I've gotten the plant. I hope you guys enjoyed this repot with me. Let me know if you're interested in the DocBlock Michelle. Also, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you're not a subscriber already, and I will check you guys out on my next video. I hope you had a very Merry Christmas or Happy Holiday if you celebrate, and Happy New Year!